All right, hey guys, this is Dr. Ryan Sousley here. This morning I've got Dr. Nick Wilson on with me. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, I'm really excited to have you on this morning just because we've become really, really close friends over the last couple of years. And, both being chiropractors, both being part of Max Living, it's just been really, really, really great to get to know you and your wife, Leah, and your family. And I can just tell people, for people that don't know who you are, I mean, you're a podcast host, you're a chiropractor, you practice in Indianapolis. You've got one of the largest chiropractic health and wellness centers in the country, super successful. You've helped tens of thousands of patients. But I think more than anything, what always strikes me about you, Dr. Nick, is just your conviction and your integrity, meaning you practice what you preach. You have really strong convictions about what you believe. And I know that you're personally on a mission to help people achieve their fullest potential. And so to me, it's inspiring to be your friend, and it's inspiring to be on this mission with you. So I just want to say thanks for taking some time out of your day to do this with me. And I know you also have an interesting perspective because you've got this huge clinic where you're helping thousands of people a week, but your wife, Leah, is also the executive director of Stand for Health Freedom, the organization that we're doing the run for. So maybe you can talk about that dynamic a little bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. That means a ton, especially coming from you being the most committed and disciplined person that I know. So thank you for that introduction. But yeah, this is kind of a unique place for me because, in this regard with Stand for Health Freedom, my wife is the executive director of Stand for Health Freedom, along with joining up with Sayerji and Dr. Joel Bohemier. And in this capacity, I'm more of a support guy in this way. And usually I'm the driver behind things. And for me, it's been taking a step back and really trying to support her and the vision and what this looks like to stand up for our basic human rights when it comes to our constitutional rights, health freedom, our medical freedom, parental rights. And really, she's doing an awesome job of just spearheading this.
Yeah. I've been really proud of her because I know it's an uphill battle. It has been for a long time, and it will continue to be. I think right now is a really pivotal time in our society for a lot of different reasons, equality and justice, but especially health freedom, so I just want to commend her and you for being the support person that you are. And I think, maybe for the people that are watching this, maybe tell a little bit about the story behind why you guys started to pursue this venture together.
So my wife and I, we were foster parents, and we really just had a heart for the foster care system. As most people don't realize this, the foster care system, those are some of the most medically abused and medically neglected population. Most people don't realize that. Many of the foster children receive double the doses of vaccines because you can't keep record of it or keep an accurate record of it. And so many times you'll take a foster child into a pediatrician's office or the hospital, and they'll give them all the doses of everything, regardless of what happened to them in their past, just because there's not really good medical records, or the parent was just absent or absent-minded and just didn't know. And so, we were foster parents, and with one little boy, he ended up going back to his biological mom, only to then wind up back into homelessness. And my wife and I, so Leah, our foster care license had lapsed, and so we decided to re-up our license. We went back through all the training and certification and CPR and everything to get the license back. Well, at the end of it, after going through everything, they say, oh, just one more thing. We've changed the rules. You have to vaccinate your biological children in order to take in a foster child. And so my well-adjusted, organic food eating kids were supposedly a threat to that homeless foster child who would come back into our home. And so it really, for Leah and I, because we own a natural health center where, we try to help people through chiropractic, nutrition, toxicity testing. And it just spoke to the fact that, man, we have to speak to this issue of medical freedom, of health freedom, of constitutional rights. We have to do more. And we're thankful for all those who have gone before us and those who have done so much. but we knew that it's so hard right now and so difficult for a mom or a nurse or someone to see an issue at hand that comes across and say, hey, I want to stand up for my rights, but I don't have time to go to the governor's mansion or go down to the Capitol and picket and go and talk to the governor or the mayor. I don't have time to do that. I can't do that, whatever it might be. With the click of a button now, you can just contact that representative. And that's what Leah has really spearheaded with Stand for Health Freedom. And really, it's been our way of kind of doing our part to rally the troops and using technology in a way that's helping to connect the end user with speaking up for the rights.
Yeah, and I can say just personally, and if I feel this way as someone who's, kind of on the bleeding edge of health and wellness, if I feel this way, I'm sure the average family, who's holistically minded, it feels the same way, probably then some. But I personally, for a long time, I've been very passionate about this issue ever since Aaron and I started having kids. But honestly, a lot of times I just felt like whatever I was going to do wasn't really going to make that big of a difference.
Right.
Even if I did take the time to go down to the governor's office or the Capitol or whatever and petition or picket or try to send a letter or an email or a phone call, I always thought, well, I'm just one guy.
Right.
Even though I'm a doctor, I'm one guy amongst millions. It's going to be a drop in the bucket. What difference is that going to make? So I think to me, the most powerful thing about Stand for Health Freedom, and I think where it's starting to gain some real traction and momentum, is the fact that it's a platform to allow people to come together and let their voices, I think your wife called it a voting block, and I love that term, because when you act in such a way that makes you part of a block of people or a movement of people, I think it feels like there's a little bit more value and power behind that. So I think the fact that, she and Sayerji and Dr. Joelle Bohemier, and then your support, obviously, have figured out a way to use technology and bring people together and basically unify voices and feelings. And it's not just people who are, have a personal story about someone who was injured by a vaccine or injured by a medical intervention, because those stories are powerful too. And there's obviously something to be said for anecdotal evidence. But what I really like about this platform, and also what I really like about what you do with your podcast and all the information that you send out. In fact, if you guys are watching this and you just want to learn more about your health and feel empowered, definitely follow Dr. Nick's podcast. What's the name? Did you change the name of your podcast recently?
Yeah, it's Ask Dr. Wilson.
Ask Dr. Wilson. Okay.
Yep.
So, but you bring a lot of the science in. So it's not just opinion. It's not just, inflammatory rhetoric, like so much stuff is out there now, but you bring a lot of the science in, but you make it accessible for people so that people, can actually apply it to their life. But
yeah, that's where, that's one of the things that they want to do is discount the numbers. I say it's just the other side. Those who would oppose medical freedom, oppose health freedom, and say that, let's say the newest drug or newest vaccine should be mandated, that we have no choice in the matter. The avenue here is they want to make us look like it's fringe, and that this whole issue is just it's not even mainstream, but we're the exception, not the rule. And while our numbers might not be as big as the pharmaceutical industry's numbers are and their influence, the reality is that as people wake up to the idea that their rights are being taken away, this is being an issue where people who are maybe on the other side are starting to say, hey, wait, I don't think I want to have mandated medicine. Whatever they come up with, whether it be the COVID-19 vaccine that's rushed to the market or the next one, they want to have a choice in the matter. And what we're seeing now is it's more of a worldview thing more than anything else. What I mean by that, a worldview, is that there's a philosophy or perspective that the body is innately self-healing, self-regulating. It's designed for health, that the body is always trying to do the right thing at the right time and not the wrong thing at the wrong time. And that's constantly gearing towards homeostasis or optimal function or balance within the body. And so this perspective of, well, the body's smart, the body's intelligent, and it doesn't need to be manipulated or tricked into health. And so that's a fundamental belief or a philosophy, but I would call it even a worldview in that language of designed intelligently. There's a lot of people who believe that. And it's not a religious statement or a specific denomination. It's just speaking to the fact that we know that if, you cut your leg, I cut my leg, our legs it's going to heal. The stomach is constantly recycling itself, and it's constantly rebuilding the inner lining within the stomach. Every 3 to 6 months, every 120 days, you get a whole new set of red blood cells. So the body is constantly recycling itself. It's constantly rebuilding, rejuvenating, and repairing. And there's this whole sect of people, including us, and a growing list of people who are saying, listen, I believe that the body is self-healing, self-regulating. I believe that anything that I inject into my arm that's poisonous is going to have negative repercussions there. And I don't want to subject myself to it. I don't necessarily want to subject my children to it, whether that's a delayed schedule or whether it's not at all. Or if my child has high cholesterol, I don't want to have to force my child to take a cholesterol-lowering drug, like a statin-lowering medication or a cholesterol-lowering medication like a statin. I don't want to have to be mandated to do that. I don't want that to be medically neglectful in the future if I choose an alternative path for my children.
Yeah.
And so the reality is that it's a growing population of saying, wait, why are we giving just full privilege to the pharmaceutical industry to do whatever they want with whatever they have and whatever pharmaceutical product they have, that I'm going to be mandated to take that? That doesn't quite make sense to me. So there's a growing list of people, and Leah might call it a voting block, but I do think that's what we need is a group of people who stand for something and say, hey, listen, if you're gonna mandate medicine for me and my family, we're not voting for you. And there's a large group of us that stand and think this way.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's what's driving most of the decisions that are being made in our country. It's politics. It's people trying to get elected. It's people trying to garner money from boosters and supporters. And so when they do that, there's this quid pro quo that if you give me money, I'll push your agenda. And it's just, it's the way it's always worked, but people just need to be aware of it so they can choose better. And I think the saddest part when I hear your story about that little boy that you were fostering, and then just the whole situation there, to me, what speaks out, or what I hear, is it's just easier. This idea of standardized medicine versus personalized medicine is, I feel like most of the people that are even in that system, because I have family and friends that are in medicine and in healthcare, like traditional healthcare, and what I hear them saying a lot is just, well, that's just the standard of care. But people aren't the standard. Every person is an exception. Because we're all uniquely and wonderfully made. There is no, your body works a little bit different or needs a little bit different things than my body. And so just saying that if you have XYZ symptom, you need this, or if you're just a human being, you need this, which is what they're doing with the whole vaccine thing. If you have a heartbeat, you need a vaccine. To me, it's taking the easy road. It's saying that, well, let's just give everybody this one thing. And it's laziness, it's medical laziness.
Well, and it's this public health model it is a one size fits all public health model. And could you imagine if you and I did that? I mean, just think about this. What if every single person who came into our clinics, they got the exact same adjustment, they got the exact same recommendations, even after doing testing, they have the exact same recommendations as far as their nutrients. Just think about that. I mean, we answer that question all the time. I mean, is this the same? Does everyone get the same adjustment? Like, oh no, like there's x-rays up that are very specific to you. It's very specific angles. It's marked up 22 different angles. But that's not really the story when it comes to a one size fits all medical approach. When it comes to, just in this example, when it comes to vaccinations, it's a one size fit all model, 69 doses before the age of 18 of the whatever the immunizations are. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, the body, and this is one of my favorite things that I talk about with my patients is you have to choose one philosophy or another. You can't be in the middle on this subject. And that is that you either believe that the body is always smart or that the body is always stupid. I mean, you can't believe both. Those philosophies are diametrically opposed. And so, that, like you use the example of when you cut your skin, it heals. That's either smart or stupid. When you walk outside and it's 100 degrees, you start sweating. That response is either smart or stupid. If it's freezing outside, you shiver. Is that smart or stupid? If you're being chased by a bear in the woods, your blood pressure goes up, your cholesterol goes up, your long-term immunity goes down, like the whole stress response, the fight or flight, that process is either smart or stupid. So if the body is innately smart in those situations, it can't be innately stupid in this other situation. It can't be both. And I think people innately know that. Dr. Joel was on one of the interviews earlier, and he said moms just innately know And it's so true, because I don't know about you in your clinic, but more and more and more, especially right now with all the stuff coming down the pike and in the news about the coronavirus vaccine and, contact tracing and all these things, I'm getting so many moms who are saying, I don't know any of the science. Like, I don't know any biology, very little anatomy, but all the stuff that I'm hearing, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right to me, because it doesn't make sense philosophically. And, I'm really proud of those people. But again, we can't just have a sense that it's not right. We actually have to stand up and do something about it. And again, I think that's all. People keep asking me, why am I doing these interviews? Why am I doing this race and the fundraiser? It's not even my organization. And it's just because if we don't do something about it, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose it. And we're gonna be looking back 20 or 30 years from now going, dang it, we should have done something.
Exactly right. And that's where we meet with patients. And I love how you said that, the mother who just using her intuition, that mother's intuition is so right. You know how many times that I meet with a mom and we're talking about, a child who's now regressed, maybe fully into autism or maybe just developmentally delayed. And she said, I just knew it was wrong. And from that day forward, when that needle hit his arm, I just knew there was something within me that told me that was wrong. And from that day forward, he's never been the same.
Yeah,
that's a common. I mean, you've heard it too in your clinic. That's a common story. Or that person who's now 18 years old. I just did toxicity testing on an 18-year-old, and she was aluminum and mercury toxic, and she has all these neurodevelopmental problems. She has massive headaches. She's having numbness into her hands, into her arms, and she clearly has problems on her X-ray that's being addressed. But her aluminum and mercury is off the charts. And here she is. She's had every dose. And if you look at the ingredients within vaccinations, not to go down this road too far, but there it is, thimerosal, there's aluminum, and they'll discount it and say, well, it's in such a small amount. Well, listen, these things have never been studied together. Long-term effects of toxicity are well known, yet it's something that's completely discounted in modern healthcare.
Yeah. Well, and the body has a really hard time of getting rid of it, so maybe a really small dose isn't a big deal, but a really small dose 69 times, and that affects a pathway that's very, very difficult or challenging to actually eliminate, so it sticks with it. It creates this biotoxic accumulation.
Well, I mean, just so our listeners know, metals are toxic. Metals are not only toxic, but they're sticky. And mercury, second to plutonium, is one of the most toxic substances on planet Earth. And so these are sticky metals, and they are very difficult to detox from. And not only do they get in your system, but they bioaccumulate, and you pass them down from one generation to the next. So there's a study of infant cord blood where they looked at the infant's cord blood, and they detected on average 287 chemicals in infant cord blood. So this is an infant has never been exposed to the environmental or the toxic environmental world. Where did that child get the toxins from? It was passed down from mother to child. And these things bioaccumulate, meaning they get passed down, and it's from generation to generation. Why are we seeing on average 54% of children have a chronic disease now? I mean, why are we seeing this rise? And not only, we were at the baseball fields just a few days ago, and there were 2 children who were bald, going through chemotherapy. I don't know about you. I played baseball. We played sports. I never saw that growing up.
Yeah.
And now you see that all the time. And it's like, why is there not an outrage about this? Why is there not outrage about children right now developing autism at a higher rate than 1 in 50 now, where it's 1 in 10,000, 20 years ago? Why is there not outrage when we have this new category of children called pediatric cancer? Where's the outrage on this? I don't understand this, and I don't understand why pediatricians and those in the medical community are not just saying, wait, stop everything. They blame it on genetics many times. It's like, guys, you understand genetics don't change over time. You know that. I mean, we have the same genes now as we did 2,000 years ago, and with the whole field of epigenetics about that which is above the gene that turns on the gene, how in the heck can we say and blame genes on anything at this point? We can't blame them. Our genes have been the same, yet what we do has been different. Our outcome is vastly different. When are we ever going to stop and say what we're doing is not working? At what point are we going to say, guys, stop everything that we're doing to our children? And we have such a high incidence of sudden infant death syndrome in this country. When are we going to say, hey, we are losing here? We're losing the war. We're clearly not the best in the world when it comes to health, and we're blaming it on genes. It doesn't make sense.
Well, and I think, again, I mean, that's the call to action from this whole, the whole thing, the Run for Health Freedom event that we're doing, and all these interviews, getting people engaged on the Facebook page. We've got to come together. I think individually there is a lot of outrage, but individual outrage is not going to change policy. It's not going to change our nation. So we need it. We have to come together. So Dr. Nick, I just want to say thanks for spending some time with me this morning. You always add just a ton of value. I love your perspective. I love your heart and your conviction. And I just want people to know that, what you and your wife are doing, and Sayerji and Dr. Joelle, it's super commendable, but people need to take action. They really do. They need to go to standforhealthfreedom.com. They need to sign up for the newsletter. They need to get informed. They need to sign the petitions if they feel led to. And join the race. We have over 130 people that are currently signed up for the race. And whether you want to run or not, we're not keeping track of times. Where there's no winner or loser. It's not like a traditional race. It's we actually have a ton of people in our community here. They're all going to meet together at the same time at the park downtown. And we're just gonna, people are gonna have their dogs or their strollers or whatever, and it's just going to be kind of a fun run. But it's going to be an opportunity for us to come together. We all think and feel the same way, and it's an opportunity to just get a conversation going, in our local community. So,
well, that's why I love that you're doing this, is that it is stimulating a lot of conversation about it. And whether that person's on the side of pro or anti or somewhere in the middle, I think we can all agree that there needs to be a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
Where there's risk, there's choice. And when it comes to this run, I'm getting a lot of people asking me, do I need to run? No, you can walk. It's just about coming together and support and standing for something. And oh, by the way, coming together again, which is what needed now more than ever. And so I so appreciate you doing this. I mean, it's unbelievable how much time and effort and energy you're putting into this to stand for something with us. And so, as a friend, I'm just really proud to be your friend and thankful that you're doing this.
Well, thanks, Nick. All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.